Hi, this is Anuradha Basu, and today I'm going to give a lecture on the novels, detective novels of Agatha Christie, as part of the lecture series on the genre of detective fiction. Um, John Curran, who lived in Dublin and was a lifelong Agatha Christie fan, was the official editor of the official newsletter of Agatha Christie, and he was also the official consultant of the of the restoration of the Greenway home, which was the house of Dame Agatha Devon, and he wrote his first book on Agatha Christie called Secret Notebooks, in which he has published 74 hitherto unpublished journals connected to Agatha Christie, and he has also written that Agatha Christie was the greatest exponent of the classical detective story. Her unique literary talents have crossed every boundary of age, race, class, geography, and education, and it has refined a template for the fictional form. The reading of her books became an international pastime, and as we celebrate her 120th birthday, he says that he lists the 10 of the best classical detective novels of Agatha Christie. I am following John Curran's list in this lecture of mine. The Murder of Roger Ackroyd is the first book, which was published, he takes up, in 1926. It was published, and here Hercule Poirot comes to a typical English village called Abbott's Village, supposedly as a village gardener, and but he gets involved in a case when an established wealthy gentleman, Roger Ackroyd, gets killed in his study, stabbed to death. And naturally, investigations follow, and the interrogations, and then there are secret relationships which evolve and which are exposed. But finally, the ending is so stunning. The most dependable and trustworthy character turns out to be the killer. So this book itself, had the capacity to take Christie, even if she had not written any other book, to take Christie into the Hall of Literary Fame. The second detective novel is Peril at End House, published in 1932. Here, the impoverished owner of End House throws a party where firecrackers camouflage the gunshot, which kills a cousin of the owner. Now, the clues regarding the investigation are impeccably placed, and they are ingenious cluing is given, and also the end is unexpected but very logical. And this is what a classical detective story should be like. Peril at End House is an example of a perfect classical detective story. The third book is The Murder on the Orient Express, published in 1934. The glamorous Orient Express train stops at night during a snowfall because of a snow blockade, and that night a murder is committed. Mysterious Mr. Ratchet is found dead, again stabbed in his own chamber, and there are no footprints or footfalls on the snow-covered ground. and that is why it is understood that the murderer is on the Orient Express itself. This novel, catches the era of train travel, the glamorous era of train travel, and here Poirot gets an opportunity to interrogate a cast of international citizens, and thus this detective story turns out to be one of the greatest challenges of Poirot and one of the greatest of his genre. The ABC Murders, published in 1935. Here, despite advance warnings, Poirot is unable to prevent the killing of A. Alice Astor, B. Betty Bernard, and C. Carmichael Clark. Will he be able to prevent the murder of D? Again, this is the first novel which puts down the idea of serial killing. It is a detective novel and a thriller. It is based on a beautifully simple premise, but Poirot turns out to be cleverer than all the others. The fifth novel, And Then There Were None, 1939. Okay. Here, 10 people are invited to an island, and each of them nourishes a secret of his own, but they are surprisingly unknowing of or innocently unknowing of any danger that awaits them. But then, one by one, each begin to die till all of them are dead. But as the numbers diminish, the panic in the novel grows as the members begin to realize that one of them is the murderer. This is again a perfect combination of a thriller and a detective story, and it is a much copied plot. One of Poirot's Christie's best technical achievement. The sixth novel is Five Little Pigs, 1943. 16 years ago, Caroline Creel was sentenced to jail for the murder of her husband by poisoning. Her daughter employs Hercule Poirot to investigate the case because she thinks that this has been a misjudged case. So Poirot investigates and interrogates the other 5 suspects. Tension and panic and suspense grows up in the novel, as this novel gives a unique example of storytelling where 5 different suspects give 5 different accounts of the same devastating incident. There are 5 different accounts of the same devastating incident. So this gives a unique example of storytelling in detective fiction, and it is again one of Christie's greatest achievement. Then Crooked House, that was published in 1949. Crooked House is again a very interesting detective novel where there is a huge family living in a not so small crooked house, and it is an aristocratic extended family, and somebody kills the head, the patriarch of the family, Aristide Leonidas, and this kind of killer or murderer from an extended family is a fertile ground for Agatha Christie. She has many of her plots, based on this, and she loves this kind of plot. And what is more significant here is that there are again a series of killings and a ghoulish ending, unexpected and ghoulish ending. But what is most significant here is the sinister use of the nursery rhyme which Christie has made in this novel, which shocked even her publishers, even though it was Agatha Christie. The next novel is A Murder is Announced, published in 1950. In the village of Chipping Cleghorn, a murder is announced in a small-time ad given in a local newspaper. And then guests arrive at Miss Blacklock's evening tea party to her parlour, hoping that it would be an innocent parlour game. But in the process, a tremendous, ingenious murder plot is set in motion, and this book, therefore, works out the announcement of the murder in a most unexpected manner. This was Agatha Christie's 50th title, and this was Miss Marple's best. Notable also for its setting in a post-war Britain, which is very significant for the novel. It is a factor vital to the novel, and this is arguably one of the most ingeniously placed, ingeniously clued, and ingeniously narrated, a perfectly paced Christie novel. The next novel is Endless Night, 1967 it was published. A working class Michael Rogers proposes and sues and marries the fabulously rich heiress Ellie, and they start living in their dream house in the country. But soon one becomes aware that all are not happy with the marriage, and tremendous tension and panic and suspense builds up, which leads to an equally horrendous end. And here in this novel, Christie proves that even after 45 years, she has the ability to confound her readers, and this is one of her best novels. And then the last novel is Curtain, Poirot's Last Case. The name of the novel is Curtain, Poirot's Last Case. Now, it was written in 1975, but it was not written in 1970. It was published in 1975, but it was written much earlier, during the Second World War. This is Poirot's Last Case, where a frail and old Poirot returns to his countryside home at Styles, and a countryside guest house at Styles, and he suspects that one of the members of the guest house is a killer, is a murderer, and he calls over his friend Hastings, and together they start interrogating the guests until they find out again the final killer among the guests. One of the guests turn out to be a killer. This book uses every trick, to make it a swan song for the little Belgian. It was kept safely in store till the death of Agatha Christie in 1975, and it was published only after her death in 1975, and in 1976 a obituary, front page obituary, was published in the New York Times on Hercule Poirot, the death of the famous Belgian detective. And this was the first ever obituary to be published for any detective story hero or detective, any detective. Alright, so these are some of the most celebrated, most famous novels of Agatha Christie, and these stand out among her numerous novels written on the genre of detective fiction.